Hey, all you Splinterheads. Bronze Dragon here, saying thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate your time. This episode is going to be a Golem Overlord update. I know. I've been deficient in my Golem Overlord news lately. In fact, at least once or twice a week, I do get people that watch my videos that request an update or more news on Golem Overlord, and usually it is something that comes up on my Saturday morning stand-up. And this past Saturday, two somebodies did point out that there were some things in the works on Golem Overlord that I was not aware of, because they asked for my opinion, and frankly, I couldn't give it an opinion because I hadn't heard about that. Now, with that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of provide a small explanation of where I stand in the game, and then go into the new feature that's coming up that's called Expeditions. Okay, first off, I've continued to play since we started a few months ago. And I haven't put out a whole lot of videos, mainly because I wanted to see where the game was going. Now, probably the main topic of interest here is how much the tokens are worth. When it originally came out, I did that video and I was making $50 a day, or I was making $50 worth of token a day. Okay. Now, as time has gone along, we see that the amount circulating the amount that goes out into the ecosystem on a daily basis is still a huge amount, but most of that is still being burnt. So frankly, I don't really know why the value has plummeted. Just to give you a rough example, I just did a calculation, and I'm making about $1.50 a day worth of token, worth of part. And that doesn't figure the shard in there. But probably safely say $3, maybe less than that per day. I haven't put a lot of money into this. At the very beginning, I put $100 into it, US dollars. And since then, I've just taken everything that I've made off the game and just re-put it in and burn it as it went along, trying to increase my stats as I saw was what I thought was a good strategy. Now, as it comes out, some people in my guild have had a better strategy, so maybe I need to get with them and find out what their strategy is. But starting off, I was really focused on protection, on going with defense, which would have been, which is fortification, faith, and then lately, I mean in the last month and a half, I quickly found out that I was deficient in prestige, scavenger golems, and kind of hand in hand with that is golem charging station and banked. Okay, so I'm trying to play catch up, as it were, right now. So I've been really putting a lot into scavenger golem, banked, and trying to burn what I can for reputation to up that. Now, obviously, there were people that kind of caught on to that sooner than I did, but that's basically where I stand right now. And like I said, I just figured out the rough value of the part I'm making per day is about $1.50. But none of that's being siphoned out. It's all being burnt towards the game. As you can see, I only have like 13 parts sitting here because I've been doing what I can do to advance along in the game. And I just got hit, so that doesn't help any. 16 minutes left to claim. Okay, so that's really where I stand. And I'm playing on a daily basis. Kind of getting tired of waking up in the middle of the night and claiming, because I'm also playing TerraCore, and that's on a 4-hour basis. I recently unlocked the short claim here in Golem Overlord, so we'll see how that goes. I'm still usually just doing an 8-hour claim, but it's going in a good direction. And with all of the announcements that Yixn has made, I still feel strong about the game. Some people ask, a common ask of me is this game done for? I don't really think it's done for. Has the value of part went down? Yeah, but that also means on the flip side that it's cheaper to get into the game. So it's much cheaper now to get into the game and get up and running than it was, at the very beginning. So there are trade-offs there. Now, the other elephant in the room, as it were, is I understand and I can wrap my head around how hard it is to kind of progress a game like this. And I was really looking forward to the NFT aspect and where he was going to take the game. And how he ended up starting off, kind of getting his feet wet in NFTs and everything, was starting with these backgrounds, right? And I don't have anything against them, but he went in hard on them. And I just they just didn't do anything for me. Some of these are some incredible pieces of art. And that broaches on the topic that is really interesting, probably much more interesting to me, is about the use of AI created artwork in games by game creators, where a solitary person who is, for all intents and purposes, a very intelligent developer with a lot of other side skills to complement that, to be able to get a game like this up and running. But now a person doesn't even need an art team. They can just generate, provided the right scripts and prompts, can generate really awesome pieces of art and use that to, create their game. And I think that's where gaming is going. Unfortunately for real artists, right? But it makes one person or two person or a very small team able to get a game up and running with good artwork. Okay, now let me backtrack. That kind of was a side street for me. I like the artwork, but I wasn't really enthused with the addition of that play to the game. In other words, buy artwork or buy the crates, try to get the rare artwork to increase your shard drop and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's a great addition. It just didn't really strike me as really exciting, right? I bought a few, I don't know, 10 or 15 crates and left it at that. I don't have a very expensive background. I think I've got a rare, I've got a blue, whatever that's called. It helps me out a little bit, not much. It just didn't strike me as much, as really deep. But I understood where that was coming from. In my opinion, I think he wanted to get his feet wet. He wanted to try something out before he started creating the other NFTs. And once he figured out the other direction the game was going to go into. And that leads me right into my next topic, which is the expedition mode. Okay, this is something that is still in the works and he's still working on. Have no idea when we're going to see it, but we are lucky enough that he has put some screens up here with artwork and a little bit of information that we can take a look at. And I'm also going to look at some articles on Peak D by Unitmaster, which I will link in the show notes because he really did a decent job of putting together an article with good facts that I had missed on the Discord conversation on this. Okay. So first of all, let's just take a look at what is posted on the site now. Okay, when you click on the Expedition link, you will come to this screen, and you're presented with your different stats which will be available during the new adventures. Okay, so we have life. Obviously, reaching 0 means you die and you lose half your loot. So we see one fact right there. Okay, forge stones, you will need them to level your golems, items, augments, and rarity. Luck, this will affect the whole run. Obviously, be lucky. Food, this is your main stat. Okay, the further away you are from the start, the more it costs. And golems, this is what you're going to do to start your run. And obviously, there's probably going to be ways to beef this up, each of these up. And you're going to have to figure out what your strategy is going to be. That leads me into point number 2 that we can see here. Now we have our advisor, okay, and I'm kind of going to equate an advisor to almost like a summoner in Splinterlands, okay, because they're each going to have their bonuses, okay. We'll take a look at them briefly, but as you can see going into this, you're obviously that hopefully when it goes live, there's not instantly going to be just one advisor that it is the ultimate best one to use, and then everybody's going to be fighting over that advisor, and everybody's going to use the same advisor. I like to see a game where it's all equaled out, and obviously it's going to take a lot of play testing to see, to kind of keep them fairly, I don't want to say even, because there are going to be some, as soon as it goes live, we all know there's going to be a few that are going to be heads and tails stronger and better strategy-wise than the others. But with that said, let's go ahead and check out what we got here. We got Varric the Forged, okay, and he gives a bonus to food, which is, we'll go back here, the main stat here, and more food is going to allow you to get further away from the start, which is the ultimate goal, right? As far as we know. Pyrus the Flamekeeper, all your golem in Cloak of Ashes, reducing damage taking, so he's going to reduce damage. So maybe it might be kind of the same thing. You either reduce the damage or you eat food to heal the damage. I don't know. Time will tell. Eldrick the Augur gives you a better chance to scout one tile further. So maybe scouting, if you scout, I could foresee that you're going to make your decision. This is going to be a game that's where you try to push your luck, so to speak, to get better loot. And the further you push, the more loot there's going to be, whatever it may be. But if you happen to die pushing that one extra square, then as we saw back here, you're going to lose half your loot. So maybe it might be better to be able to scout further, more accurately, and be able to tell whether you're going to be able to make that next. Oh, that's too tough of a tile for me to cover right now because I've only got minimal health left, or something like that. Those ideas. So just throwing ideas out there. Now, Briar the Botanist looks like a druid. Your golems gain thorns, and depending upon the rarity, more thorns. So this will help you in battle. We're all familiar with what thorns do. Selene the Luminary. Increased chance to find divine encounters. So just a guess, obviously some encounters are going to be common up through as everything else he's creating here, various levels of rarity. So I'm going to assume that divine encounters are better than lower end encounters. Maybe they offer better loot. Maybe they offer named mobs, something along that drops certain loot that people are going to be after. So possibly you forsake all your other bonuses and go for the better loot. Forge the Tinkerer. Percentage chance to repair 10% of health after a fight. Is that going to be the same as basically eating food? I don't know. Either way, you're repairing your health after the fight. So a lot of these are just guesses, right? Just off the top of my head. Alaric the Alchemist. Percentage chance not to consume a potion on use. So basically getting a free percentage chance to have a free potion use. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what the potions do. Probably give healing and some other things available. Moros the Shade. Now this is interesting because he's a very high. This is going to be a very rare one. And he gives a 100% chance to enshroud your golem in shadows at the start of the combat, making them untargetable. Attacks break the invisibility, but deal bonus damage. So this gives me very kind of ideas of a rogue that's sneaking and gets a really good bonus to backstab. If you played WoW PvP, you know about the rogue's bonus to backstab if you've been on the receiving end of that. So so the first call out I'll say is he looks very rare. He's probably going to be very expensive, but he's probably going to help you do a lot of damage. Okay, so that's very interesting, getting a look at those. And obviously, since this is just still in the works, this could all change. I'm just going to call that out because he is putting soon on here. Now, let's read what he has to say, okay? In the vast and intricate realms of Golem Overlord, an exhilarating journey awaits every intrepid explorer. Beneath the rusty gears and smoky clouds lies a post-apocalyptic world teeming with ancient secrets awaiting your discovery. The path is riddled with challenges from cunning adversaries to enigmatic puzzles, yet the allure of the uncharted territories beckons. The treasures which lie hidden are unparalleled, not just in gold and gems, but in powerful artifacts that carry the echoes of the world long gone. So that tells me a lot just in that paragraph. Okay, it's written very well as far as being nice and setting a storyline here, but that gives me several different facts here. Okay, so that tells me that there's going to be several different things you're going to have to do other than just fighting monsters. Okay, so you're going to have cunning adversaries, which is fighting monsters, riddles, puzzles, and something to do with the uncharted territories where it's going to be uncharted until obviously kind of like Fog of War in a game where you uncover it. We had that one, what do they call them again? Advisor that gives you a bonus. So very interesting. Each decision could lead to untold riches or dire consequences. He really needs to look at his spacing in these paragraphs. Greed can be a powerful ally, but also your greatest downfall. With every step, the stakes get higher and the challenge is tougher and the rewards richer. And that goes back to what I was talking about before. This is like a push your luck game. How far are you going to go to get that extra loot and risk it all, right? So Will you brave the odds, conquer the unknown, and emerge as the ultimate champion of the Golem Overlord's world? The fate of your journey rests in your hand. Forge ahead, for every exploration promises new stories, new battles, and treasures beyond imagination. The world of Golem Overlord beckons. Will you answer the call? And obviously he says soon, but he gives, and I'll leave the link to this page in the show notes, but he shows a bunch of different items: shields, swords, weapons, stones, with different powers on them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can take a look. Various forms of equipment, rings, talismans, boots, different pieces of armor, different weapons. All of these give different bonuses. Kind of similar to the NFTs in TerraCore, if you're familiar with the NFTs you can put on your person in your ship. Or buy ship and put the NFT, different armor and stuff for your character. And he shows some possible enemies, which you will see have different damage types, deal different damage types, have different health amounts, have different speeds, as we're all used to in various cards. You play in Splinterlands, play in Splinter Forge, very similar ideas. So let's go ahead and jump over here. And once again, thanks goes out to Unitmaster. I will put the link in the show notes. But he captured this off of a recent Discord discussion that he was privy to. And this is the Expedition map early development, right? So this shows me a basic hex type map that shows where you start down here. You're going to have an unknown encounter. You can see that there are various hexes that have question marks. Obviously, you don't know what's there until you get over there. We see battles. We see a coin, which indicates treasure to me. We see possibly a tent indicating a camp. We see this little potion says unknown encounter. Your scouts are not able to gather any intel. I don't know what the exclamation points mean. And then finally, all the way at the end, we see the castle, which indicates the end boss mob, what have you, if you can work your way all the way down there to win, and whatever that may be. So obviously these are all just guesses. I'm just kind of making educated guesses off of what I've seen before in games. Okay, let's see what Unitmaster has to say here. Potential gameplay elements. Rogue-like gameplay. Players embark on an unpredictable journey where each experience is unique. The main goal is exploration, but the mode has elements of risk versus reward, as players have to decide how far they want to go. Like I said, pushing your luck. I like this idea. I hope it's a game that has enough variations to keep it interesting. In other words, you don't beat it a few times and then you're tired of it, right? So because these games, obviously you get into them, and from one side, you want it to be a fun game. The other side of it is kind of making tokens, which theoretically you can, reinvest or take out and make some money off of, what have you. But you really want it to be fun. Otherwise, it becomes like another daily in WoW or something like that. And I mention that because I'm a long-time WoW player. It's been years since I played, but when we got to the point in WoW where you had to log on and you had to do these 10 or 15 daily quests just to be able to keep up with everyone, that's when I stopped playing, because it became a job. And I have a job. I don't need another job, right? So I like the idea of hopefully it's fun and hopefully it has enough variations where it can consistently be fun and it's random to where you don't get tired of it and it doesn't become a chore, right? So, okay, the tile system. The world or map is composed of tiles like we saw. Each tile represents a different unit or encounter, such as fights, merchants. Oh, merchants, that's nice. Puzzles, distress calls. Distress calls, that might be the exclamation point. No idea what that means. What would that mean in the game? But sounds logical. These tiles become progressively harder as players venture deeper into the game. Icons. Each tile will have a round icon to depict the type of event or encounter. We saw that. Replayability. A key component of the mode. Players should feel the urge to dive back in and see how far they can get next time, just like I was just talking about. Integration with the main game. Players can carry their stats from the main game into this mode. The further they are in the main game, the further they can reach in exploration mode. That's interesting that there will be a crossover of stats and not just like two completely different games. Should be interesting. Risk of loss. Here we go. If a player character dies during exploration, they risk losing the treasures they have amassed during that run. They need to return to their base to secure the loot, making the journey back home an important aspect of gameplay. Okay. That's interesting. How much loot do you lose? What we were just looking at a few minutes ago said you lost half. Do you lose all? Who knows? He's probably still trying to decide on that and how that would work. But yeah, you want to go back and secure your loot. We all, if you've played hardcore games, you know that if you push your luck and get too far into a dungeon in a game like Old School EverQuest or something like that, and you lose and you die, guess what? You're doing a corpse run at 2 a.m. Otherwise, you lose all your gear, right? In this case, you're probably just going to have to make the call and come back and try not to push your luck too far. Otherwise, you will lose it, either half or all of it. Okay, resource management. Players will manage a resource called food to traverse the map. Running out of health before getting back home results in a loss of some rewards, but players receive extra food to try and make it back. So obviously these things are subject to change, and it sounds very interesting. Let's see here. He says the details were taken from Discord messages. Nothing is set in stone for fights. Merchants might have items, golem refills, NFTs that keep food, etc. You will be able to wait X hours to gather more food or intel on surrounding areas. That's nice. Say, for instance, like a camp or something like that. So say, for instance, you get to a certain point. Maybe you can stop and make camp, and the next day come back and you will have amassed some more food, some more life, and some intel of the hexes around you. So maybe this is a multi-day, possibly a week campaign, and not just like sit down and do it in an hour. That sounds more interesting to me. You can either go for fast, short adventures or dig deep into the map for long sessions. Higher prestige will equal more starting food. So another reason to up your prestige. I still got to get more prestige. I was talking to somebody else on my live stream, and they had already a huge amount of almost maxed out, I guess. I don't know if there's he had more than 4 times the prestige I have. So, okay, let's jump over here. Now, this one, I will also leave the link, and he goes into the screenshots of the bosses or the enemy and goes through the damage types and stuff. We kind of talked about this. Tanks, assassins, fighters. We're kind of all familiar with these type and what that means to fighting them. So you might want to have the ability to change up the way you do the battle. Possibly there'll be different types of... I would hope that if there are different types of boss mobs and different types of monsters we're going to fight, that we would also have different types of golems and different ways to outfit them. So for instance, maybe you're going up against a tank. Maybe magic would be a great thing to use against a tank. Maybe outfit your golem with something that gives it magic, or maybe use a magic golem, that kind of idea. Now let's look at some more details. Once again, that Yixn had dropped into Discord. Legendaries can only spawn if you choose at least X starting stats. Don't know really what to say about that yet. Each enemy has a minimum distance to home to spawn. So I would assume that means that as you go along, we've heard this said in things I've read here, that as you go along, they're going to get harder. And that probably means as you go along, they're also going to get more rare. And that probably goes hand in hand. Enemies also level with every step you take. The axe, sword, shield, and arrow images identify available augments and targeting logic. That probably sounds like what I was just talking about with augmenting your golems. Assassins, for example, will probably try to attack the squishiest target first. Tanks can equip it, taunt, augments, etc. Okay, so that is really a wrap-up of kind of what's out there right now. I am looking forward to this. And whenever I hear more news, I'll keep my eye on this. Try not to be guilty of being deficient of news again, but I'm really looking forward to this. It seems like very similar to kind of along the lines of what Splinter Forge did and came out with their new mode of survival mode. Obviously, 2 different types of games, but kind of giving people more flavor, more to do in the game. And obviously, as a developer, he's probably just trying to do new things and come up with a new way this game can kind of gain traction and become its own. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? There's so many games out there that are just kind of, you you kind of get tired of just clicking, come back 8 hours, click them. You gotta try to capture people and capture their interest. And obviously he wants you to invest in the infrastructure and buy the part and shard. But to get that, he's got to get people interested. So I like the way this is going. Like I said, I wasn't such a big fan of the backgrounds. Nothing against good artwork, but I like this, and I like the fact that he's really putting AI artwork he's using it to a great potential. So I like to see, I don't want anybody to think that I've stopped playing this. We do have an extra slot in our guild. If anybody wants to play, the link is in my show notes. Please use it. I get a little bit out of it, not a whole lot. And shoot me a tell if you want to get invited into our guild. Hey, this has been a Golem Overlord update with Bronze Dragon. Thanks for stopping by. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy, and I will see you on the flip side.